Interesting.
Yeah, no.
Personally, I'm very excited to see the girl get shot. So. So the regular show.
Okay, cold open on the regular show. So my problem with when the regular show first came out, it gave me a sense of, because this was about the same time that like the rumors / like I think it was confirmed whole deal about SpongeBob was actually a show that was supposed to be on MTV first. Like SpongeBob was like supposed to be gay. It was supposed to be like kind of edgy, like that kind of adult humor for MTV. Of like SpongeBob was actually gay, like the jokes would have been a little more adult and edgy and all that shit. And so it was like kind of, I want to say it was confirmed. I was in like high school or like early college when this happened, so who knows if it's actually true. I never looked it up. But that was the whole rumor that came out. And then the next wave of Cartoon Network shows started. And that was the time when then Regular Show came out. And Regular Show had such an edgy style to it at first. Like, just watching the first episode was like, you're trying, like, to me, it was like, you're trying too hard. Like, you're trying too hard to be like, it feels like someone running with, trying to have their own, this show was supposed to be for adults, but the networks wouldn't pick it up. So here we are on Cartoon Network. It gave me that kind of vibe, and just as an initial vibe, and that's why I kind of like, I bounced off of it really hard. And so I just never really watched it.
Yeah.
I think in more recent years, and now it's coming to its own thing and kind of hearing more about it, and then like kind of coming to it in a more natural way, I actually probably would like Regular Show. I just need to watch it, and I just haven't had an opportunity to actually watch any Regular Show up to this point.
Fair enough. Yeah, I binged it in high school, and I kind of fell off of it. I mean, it's very much like non sequitur humor. Shit's weird. Random shit happens. I had never really watched any edgy TV growing up. So I didn't even have that frame of reference going into it. I just thought it was funny and different.
That's fair.
And different.
I think maybe part of what made it different was that it was like an adult cartoon that was basically censored. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah. So the thing is that, okay, so it did feel like that to you. So the thing that colored the perception for me was that it seemed like someone trying to make that. Not, and I think we've talked about this before when we talked about like advertisements and shit, of like, if you're gonna pander to me, let it at least be natural. But if I get the sense that you're trying to do something for me,
I never,
like, that inauthenticity is what like irks me. And I'm looking back at this and going, I was probably wrong in that assessment.
Oh,
or it could have been that for the first episode, and then it found its own idea. Like, it found a better way to do that identity. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I had never had the thought that they were like, they had tried to be an adult show and couldn't get on a network. I just always thought that it was sort of like just edgier, not necessarily that it had been edited to fit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, I felt that it was definitely unique than some of the other shows that released there at the time, but I think it was also one of those shows that kind of kicked off with a couple other unique shows like it, right? You had your regular show, and then you had like Flapjack. Right?
I love Flapjack.
Flapjack is great.
Then
Flapjack was like a half generation before Regular Show, but it's like that same general era.
Yeah, like it was around that time when the shows like that started to, release, and new episodes started to come out that kind of made Cartoon Network that weird place. Weird good, but just like different place where you could find these unique type of shows that you would cringe at sometimes, that you would like be like, ooh, can they do that? Or shows that are like, okay, this style is interesting. They did some, unique things to these episodes, to this show. But I too binged a regular show. Not too long ago, actually. Maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I binged regular show. I binged Adventure Time. I binged Flapjack. I binged all of those cartoon shows, one right after another. Shotgunned them pretty much. And yeah, I really enjoy it. Maybe it's because it's now. I remember watching a few of those episodes back in the day when they were dropping on Cartoon Network, but I was just never able to catch as many of them as I really wanted to. But yeah, no, I feel what you're saying about the edginess. The first, well, it's hard to say that the first episode was more edgier or anything than the other, because it's like regular show. That's just how it was. Like it would start off like weird, funky, crazy. They would say some stuff that's like, and then all of a sudden it would go from kind of a normal thing to an out like wacky thing towards the end of the episode.
See, like that is a cool premise to me. The whole like going from like normality to like, because most of my perception of a regular show now is based off like TikToks and stuff where it's like people are doing their own little fan, like how the episode starts 3 minutes later where the episode is at. Like it's really funny. I will tell you the thing that happened in the first episode that like bounced me off of that gave me this perception of regular show was, I don't recall the scenario, but I very clearly recall the line of, I want to say Rigby, he's the bird, right? No, Mordecai's the bird.
He had a 50% chance. He had a 50% chance. It's okay.
On this
it's okay. We'll give you a pass.
The bird, like Mordecai. Actually, now it might have been Rigby, but one of the two main characters in some instance, like within the first 5 minutes of the episode, goes, "What the F is this S?"
Oh yeah,
very specifically that line.
Yeah,
and I was like, "You're trying too hard."
No, but see, I like that. That's like, oh, they were mad.
Yeah, that was them getting away with it, but like on that thin line where it's like, okay, we know they can't actually say it,
right? But
because this is Cartoon Network, even that is surprising that got there, you know. But I don't know, and I'm.
Have you guys ever seen the Disney censorship of Gravity Falls?
No.
Those videos are so deeply and genuinely funny.
When you say the Disney censorship, are we talking like a fan made thing or like
so this is a fan compilation, but it's so after the Gravity Falls ended, I think some of the communications between Disney and I forget what the creator of the show is.
Oh, we're talking editorial censorship.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like messages about a poster with a sleepover that references like maybe like boys and girls both being there and then being like, we feel like this implies some untoward activities and would like you to not have this on there, or like just real silly, real goofy, dumb shit. Like, and
that one I feel is fair, actually. I don't know.
Well, I am misquoting it.
Okay.
Certainly.
I was going to say, in any situation, that one at least I would be the least shocked that Disney would have a problem with. But I understand.
Take my words with the littlest grain of salt. All right. It's this big. Okay. Take my quotations as not basically being completely non-representative of what's going on there, but it is worth a watch. Shut up.
Okay, no, quick aside. How do you think the term "a grain of salt" is used?
Take it with a grain of salt. So like, take it as not that big of a deal. Take it with little emphasis.
So
not take it with a grain of salt, take it as a grain of salt.
No, let's take it with a grain of salt. The way you just used it. So the grain of salt, the proportion of how much I shouldn't believe what you said is actually directly proportional to the size of the grain of salt. So when you say take it with the tiniest grain of salt, you're like, it says that what I'm saying is true with like 99% certainty. But it sounds like you're saying let's take it with a larger grain of salt. Was this the most useless aside ever? Yes. But
I mean, I definitely didn't think too deep into it.
it's really not that important because I knew exactly what he meant.
I disagree fundamentally.
Yeah, you kind of got me confused now.
No,
because you're saying that the proportion of grain of salt, if it's a bigger grain of salt, there's less credibility. Is that what you're saying?
Because the salt is what makes it less credible. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
The salt is the skepticism.
Yeah, so you want more salt for more skepticism.
I always thought it was a little grain of salt. I thought it was a grain of salt because salt is small and inconsequential.
Yeah.
And tiny.
Yeah.
And so that's why I made it smaller. Not like adding more salt would add more.
Would you want us to be more or less skeptical about the way that you're currently presenting?
I would like you to be more skeptical. I would like you to trust my impression of the situation, but not
Which I do trust the impression of the
situation.
situation.
But not my direct memory of what was said.
That's fair.
I knew what you were saying.
I did. The fucked up part is I did too. But that's
playing devil's advocate again.
It's not even devil's advocate. I just can't help myself.
We're just like that's different than how I think about it.
Didn't use that phrase correctly.
So what you're saying is we should take your skepticism with a grain of salt?
I'll cut your throat.
A big one or a small one?
I put a clip of the regular show in the Discord.
You did it that fast?
I did it that fast while we were all talking about it. Nice. This clip lives rent-free in my head and has and will forever live rent-free in my head. This particular, the rig juice. I hope he says the thing in this because I didn't watch it.
You're probably wondering what that's
Whoa. My face feels like magic. Will forever be one of my favorite. It's one of those things that I want to reference all the time, but nobody ever knows.
Well, I think I've heard you reference that before now that I think about it.
I definitely wouldn't know it. Like, I am down to sit down and watch regular show. I'm absolutely down to sit down and watch it now at this point. But like that style of humor, I fucking love. Like that was great. It was that first episode was just a bad impression to me of what it was.
Yeah, it was the direct reference to edgy things like swears.
You're saying swear words on.
You're gonna put the hurt on him?
Like the
oh yeah, I'm gonna put the hurt on him. You want to put the hurt on him? Yeah, that's literally like the first couple back and forths there. But no, I see what you're saying. I get it.
One of the things I really enjoyed about it is that there are no rules about what can happen. They could open a portal to the sky because of the sun god because they took somebody's advice wrong, and then the whole world they could bring about a near apocalypse in the park, and then overcome it in just as short of amount of time, or they can fucking grow muscles from doing some bullshit. I remember that's a plot line at some point. Yeah, but
you make an impossible shot from half court, and all of a sudden the basketball god comes down from the sky and says that he wants to challenge you to a basketball tournament.
Exactly, shit like that.
Sounds
where you're
too specific to just be a example.
That's an episode.
You never fucking know what's gonna happen, and it's actually informed a lot of my hero, especially when it comes to stuff like fucking D&D and shit like that, where you can you're literally in an imaginary space where you can be
literally anything could happen.
Literally anything could happen.
Speaking of D&D, one of the weirdest things I see on Quora, is the amount of this thing has happened in my D&D campaign. How do I work around it? And I'm like, and I understand why it's being asked because the answers in it are usually from rules lawyers and shit. But I'm sitting there it's a game of make believe, right?
It's imagination.
One of my characters is impervious. One of my players is impervious to fire, and I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to deal with it.
Freeze them.
Make something up, bro. It's literally a game of make believe.
And you're the DM. You can kind of.
Hell, you could literally sit them down and be like, I think in order to make this game fun for everybody, we have to take it away.
We're gonna have to nerve kind of your ability here, but it's it's the most, which is the answer. But there's so many.
Personally, that's not how I would do it. But
to me, it's to even have to get that far is okay, make them fight fucking water creatures. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can put because shit you can I have feelings about this. So
You don't say.
yes.
Buckle up, folks.
Like when it comes to shit like that, I like to deal with those kinds of situations by one, putting them in situations that challenge their weaknesses rather than their strengths.
Right.
And then also putting them in situations where their strengths can shine.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
Which the best answers usually point both of those things out.
Yeah.
Like what you just answered is usually like the top answer of almost any of those kind of questions.
because like if they're impervious to fire, well, one, how did they get that? Like,
Right.
is it some shit that they walked in and they were like, I have a character from another campaign, and they don't have a immunity to fire? Like, fuck that. But if it's like, say, something they earned in the campaign, or some like weird mechanical bullshit that they cobbled together, because that's how they have fun with the game, is by putting together broken builds. Well, then you put them in situations that challenge those broken builds, then both like, because that allows them to have the problem solved despite what they did, or like you use creative thinking, or you also put them in situations where that work that they did in order to have fun in this game is useful
Is
and
useful. You
utilitarian.
Reward them for what they got, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's stuff like that.
There's
It's-
there's an infinite amount of things you can do. Like it's the stuff like this is another, like I can't immediately recall any specific one. I think one day I'm gonna screenshot it actually and like send it to you guys or like keep it for later. But it'll be something like, oh, excuse me, Jesus. I had an encounter set up where my character is supposed to fight fire elementals, but one of my characters is impervious to fire. What can I do? So make them fight water elementals, bro. Like,
Yeah.
don't make them fight the fire elementals. Fight anything different than a fire elemental.
Give the fire elemental a special sword.
Special swords that do fucking fire damage under the right conditions.
Plot twist: the fire elementals are ruled by a water elemental.
Ruled by a water
like
elemental.
you literally make the rules. There are creatures in D&D that do damage without rolling.
Right.
Like you can do whatever you want to do.
The
man.
fire elementals, no mind magic. Who fucking knows? Like psychic magic. Like it's just baffling. How do I do this thing in the land of make believe?
How do I make believe?
You make it up.
How
do I make believe?
Yeah, I feel like most of those questions get asked because people are like, not like how do I make believe, but they're like, how do I socially confront this person who's being disruptive?
Yeah. Which does kind of get to the heart of like almost every one of those questions.
I totally interrupted you, Izzy. What were you gonna say?
Oh,
Oh,
It's a good thing, but y'all do
yes,
that
I
constantly.
didn't do it this time.
Not this time. Yeah, no. It's D&D is such a fun game.
Speaking of D&D, Material Girls just did their first episode on D&D. It was pretty fucking good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Explain to the people who Material Girls
So
is again.
Material Girls is a podcast that I listened to by Marcel Cosman and the other one. Her name is
so glad we're
Hannah.
small time and they're never going to see this episode.
Her name is Hannah something. Fuck. It's just embarrassing.
You could have said anything other than the other one.
Well, the best part is they're also gay, so now I'm forgetting the one that's like actively queer, which is just, it's a great time.
If you are listening to this, guys, we love you and we're sorry.
That's a lie. I don't even know you.
Okay.
I do. I love you. I formed a parasocial relationship with you. You're now some of my favorite people.
Hannah McGregor and Marcel.
Hannah
Osman?
McGregor. Sorry.
As in related to world famous pugilist Ewan McGregor? Wait, that's not pugilist. I'm thinking someone completely different. Ewan McGregor is the actor who played in goddamn Star Wars.
Ewan McGregor.
I was
Is
thinking,
that Obi-Wan?
I was
or-
thinking, yeah, Obi-Wan. I'm thinking Conor McGregor.
Wow.
It's a lot of McGregors.
There's a
but
lot
yeah,
of McGregors.
regardless, they're
Stop
both
saying that hard R now.
brilliant scholars and academics, and they have a podcast where they take well, it started as a Harry Potter podcast, but it's transformed. So if you search Material Girls and you go back more than like 10 episodes, all of a sudden it's like purple, it's about Harry Potter, and it's still really good, but it's different. But basically they take pop culture objects, and then they pick a scholarly lens to analyze those pop culture objects, and they analyze it. They're like also like hyper feminists. trying to figure out how to say this accurately. But like they're super like lefty, pro-trans, pro-stuff, and they bring a really interesting perspective to the things that they talk about, which I really value listening to. And it's super cool. They talked about D&D in reference to like Ludology and how the expansion of D&D in recent decades has created a lot of space for queer creators, and is sort of like ended up, because like nerd culture used to be very gate kept by, you know, shitty white dudes who are like, you want to read comic books? You want to read about Supergirl? That's lame.
Was it gate kept or was it just uncool?
No, there was some gatekeeping going on.
There's gatekeeping.
There was gatekeeping going on because it was considered an uncool thing. It gets talked about in a lot of different spaces too. Video game had this kind of same deal.
Well, part of the appeal of it was the exclusivity of it, right? Which is something they say on the podcast. That's the only reason I have that opinion. But they talk about how like representation in like Critical Role, even though like the casts on all of these shows aren't necessarily diverse, even though it's been getting better, especially with like people like Abria Iyengar.
So I don't watch Critical Role to the same degree that you do. So my end is Dimension 20,
which is very diverse.
Very diverse.
Yeah. But like you talk about like the ones that were initial like Adventure Zone,
right,
and Critical Role, even though Critical Role has women on it, like those women are like married to a lot of the people there. They're married or dating the people there. So there's a knock against, but a lot of the characters themselves that they play are explicitly queer, and they make space for those people. And then the more representation there is, the more people see themselves in that space, and the more people see themselves in that space, the more people engage with it, and the more people engage with it, the more space that they create for other people to engage with it. And yeah, it was really interesting.
Keep talking.
Blah 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 blah.
There's a fucking thing on my goddamn lip.
I'm making lobster bisque this week, and I'm really excited.
Hell the fuck yeah! That's gonna be 2 stews going on this week.
What are you making stew?
I'm making something called cabbage stew that my mother like is insisting that I make this week. She kept sending me the recipe, so I was like, "Fuck it, I guess I'll just do it." So, yeah,
I'm skeptical.
As am I. We'll see.
Is this bisque? How do I can't remember if you made the soups at Zoop.
We did not.
Okay.
Fuck no. They came in bags.
Technically, thank you for saying it, because I think I'm technically still under an NDA. They really
It's been over 2 years, hasn't it?
I don't know.
There's no way they had you.
Yeah, you got to be out of that.
Yeah, that soup comes in bags, which is real. It's really fucking funny to me how much they don't want people to know that soup comes in bags.
Some of the best soup I ever get that I can buy is from Horrocks, and their shit comes in a bag.
I know. When I walked in Horrocks and I saw them pouring the soup out of the bag, like in the front of the people, I was like, they do the Lord's work.
That delicious,
like,
scrumptious.
The Zoop soups are fucking delicious. It's excellent. But
Zoop,
like,
Zoop soups.
it's a Zoop soup.
Zoop soups. It's funny because there was a style of soup called the Zoot suit as well.
Really?
So
you can have a Zoop soup
in a
Zoop soup.
You know the old like 1950s suits that had like the super wide shoulder pads.
I've only ever really heard Zoot soup.
Okay, if you've ever like seen any old like Looney Tunes era, Tom and Jerry. Matter of fact, I know what Zoot suits are because of Tom and Jerry.
Oh, really?
If you ever see anything like
episode.
that, if you ever see anything like that in an old like cartoon, like those super wide shouldered suits, that's a Zoot suit.
Like what feminists wear.
Yes, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
The shoulder pads.
You're not wrong entirely. No.
It's just like this weirdly like oversized clothing. It was so interesting. I really want to see someone in an actual Zoot suit. But anywho, Zoop soup.
Yeah, Zoop soup. That should come in bag. They have like a whole process for it, and it does a pretty good job. I'm excited to make lobster bisque. It's not going to be the Zoop lobster bisque because that shit is basically just cream.
I would hope not.
But I've always wanted to make like a seafood like stock with like crustacean shells. It's been something I find very interesting. The process I'm gonna do a combination of lobster, and I got some not whole raw shrimp, it's just the tails. Because typically people do the stock with whole lobster, which you can get at Aldi, but
They're probably expensive. Maybe?
it's pretty
They do
expensive.
The stock with the whole lobster or the whole lobster shell?
So the whole lobster, typically what you do is you start it with the whole lobster, you let it cook for a second, then you remove the meat, and then you continue with the shell.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't think they use the whole lobster.
But the recipes that I was looking at are for normal people. And so they're usually like just the shell, just the tail. And the tail, just the tail, I think is literally half the price per tail. Like,
that's mostly edible meat.
Yeah,
Like,
because
some of the leg.
you don't get the claws of the leg. I wonder if there's additional flavor that comes from like using the head or stuff. But I was like, it's the first time I'm doing it.
I don't think so. Almost everything I've seen of like using lobsters, like there's just outside of presentation, there's no real use for head or guts.
Yeah.
Or head or thorax. Is that what it's called? The thorax?
It feels like it should be, but I don't know if that's true or
not.
not.
The main body of a.
I know it is for insects, and crabs is bugs, but
Crabs, yeah.
I don't know if that's literally the anatomical term.
The carapace.
Yeah.
That's a word for sure.
Somehow, but somewhere, yeah.
I honestly could not. I know it has something relating to the body of a creature, but I couldn't tell you what.
You're not gonna buy the poor fellow and toss him in the water.
No,
living.
I'm not going to murder a lobster by boiling him alive. I already
fancy lobster.
flayed that catfish while he was alive. That's enough violence in my
You
life.
flayed one while it was alive?
I tried to. I started doing it, and then I was like, "This is too cruel. I can't do
Why
this."
didn't you just get a rock and knock it out?
Those things are so hardy. And then, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on the podcast before.
I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast.
I've talked to you about this before. I'm surprised you remember it.
Sir, are you really that surprised I don't remember shit?
Yes.
Sir, my memory is terrible.
Yeah, I know, but it's better than mine usually.
Fair.
Anyway,
One's better than 0, but out of a scale of 100, it doesn't really mean anything.
yeah, it was when I went fishing with I went fishing with the lady down south.
You said that in the worst, not the worst way, but the weirdest way possible.
I really did. I said that.
He went fishing with a friend of ours who lives
south of where we live, like an hour away.
I was gonna say, is flaying a live catfish mean something different than I think it means?
Right?
I mean, yes, but
It can.
But yeah, so we caught a catfish, and when you look up how to flay a catfish, they usually recommend you just like cut the fins off and then just fillet it. Because catfish fucking live forever out of water. Like, it was 4 hours since we had gone out of the water. Every other fish, even though we had them like in water, had like suffocated and died because there just wasn't enough oxygen. That catfish was like
Catfish are hard day.
flap, 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 flap. They're like, you just fillet it. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this.
Oh, I would have got a big fucking rock. The thing is, I don't like touching live wiggling things as it is already. Especially fish and fucking...
thank you for saying that, because I didn't want to be the first one to say. I rarely have touched a live fish, like, ever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Or even worms, too. Even worms.
I don't like touching worms at all.
I won't really do that either.
Yeah.
You can call me a wuss, you can call me whatever, but
I'm using lures every time if we go fishing.
Bitches get stitches.
yeah.
Lures is how you catch the big fish. Actually, the fish that we caught that were larger, we caught on worms. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But yeah, so I started filleting and I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna do
I
this.
would refuse to. I'm gonna go find me a big rock.
Yeah.
Put this thing out of its misery before
I
try.
didn't get the big rock.
Or at least have a cleaver.
I got the big knife.
Did you stab it through the head?
And I was like, all right. So this is about where the spine should be.
Cut.
I tried to cut it. So the thing about catfish is they also have a big bony plate that extends a little bit further back.
Mhm.
Right. And so, well, the first cut I did, I actually don't think could. I tried to do, I was examining. I was like, I can't really cut through that. So I tried to go through the head, like into the brain. I don't know the anatomy of a catfish very well,
I think I know what a head and a brain is.
but I did definitely miss that brain.
Oh,
So I tried again.
You are actively turning a portion of our audience into vegans.
And it work again.
Or fried catfish lovers, you know.
That catfish was real fucking good.
I bet.
It tasted-
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I fucking bet.
By the time I was done trying to kill this poor fucking catfish,
Mhm.
it,
Have you ever thought to just take it by the tail and like just fucking hog smash that bitch into the ground?
you know, it's not a bad idea, but given what I had to do to that head to kill that catfish, I don't know it would have been very effective.
But at least stunned it.
I may hope, maybe. I'm going to do some research next time.
hold
But
it
yeah.
underwater, drown it.
There you go. There you go. Big brain.
Big brain plays.
Big brain place. But yeah, suffice to say, if you're going to kill a catfish, do look it up beforehand because it's not as easy as you would think. Catfish is the cockroach of the sea. Just as tasty.
Gun.
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 Pop a cat. Yep.
Honestly, I wonder if you could kill the catfish with the shot wake of a bullet in the barrel.
Oh,
As in like place the
put-
barrel.
So like you say shooting the fish in the barrel, right?
Yeah.
That old saying.
Oh, you mean
So
like
the
literally
bullet,
shooting
the
into it?
percussive force of the bullet in the water is enough to kill a fish, even if you miss them.
The thing is, when you said barrel, I thought gun barrel.
That's what I thought too.
Like the shockwave from the barrel. I don't know if that would kill. Maybe.
need a cannon.
Kapoom.
That would be crazy.
Splurge. Most unstructured opening to an episode ever.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
that's
did
another-
we even open this episode yet?
Yeah, we opened it.
It was a cold one.
It's a
It was
cold,
cold
open.
open.
See, the best way to have a cold open is to say cold open.
Yes, cold open.
All right. Do we have any other random bullshit we want to talk about? Or should we go?
The whole
I was gonna say
podcast
that's,
is random
that's what we do.
What other random bullshit should we talk about? Which segment should we move on to? Is it Ruben's random bullshit?
It could be my random bullshit from Reddit.
Is it
could be
Kenton's
some
random bullshit?
from Kenton.
Is
Or
it
is
my
it-
random
It's
bullshit?
funny because it's not even
Calculated.
random bullshit. You have the
Yeah.
most structured
Yeah, you do.
fucking segment of the podcast.
Yes, it's the manga segment with Fluffy.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to do? Otherwise, I'm gonna jump over to Reddit.
I was like, usually we just go start with Reddit. I'm
Usually.
down to start with my stuff though. if
Yeah,
we
let's do
want
it.
to.
Why not? Let's shake things up a little bit.
Usually.
I love how we just said how stuff is unstructured, and then I just said we usually start.
We
with
usually start with the structure. Yeah, well,
no, we don't. So let's see.
We could come up with theme songs that we mouth sing like Munch Squad.
That does sound interesting. But no, I figured I brought up some Quora questions like a few episodes ago.
Mhm.
And
episode 8, the one I'm editing, actually.
oh really?
Yeah.
Nice.
The one that should have been up last week, but it's not.
Yes.
those
I mean, by the
fans
time
are
that y'all hear this,
thirsting.
it's gonna be
Yeah, well,
past
y'all
that. But
know.
you've already listened to
Quit
it.
looking at the goddamn upload date.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah. But anyway, so we got. So I am here with some more random, Quora questions that popped up on my phone's lock screen. And yeah, some of these are interesting, some of them are weird, and some of them are really good discussion topics, actually. So let's see. I think we've already listened to, or talked about that one. But
Which one?
So this one says, I found lubricant and tissue in my 12-year-old son's room. What should I do?
We did not talk about that. What we talked about was we found adult toys in my 12-year-old daughter's room.
Oh, okay.
Well, we didn't talk about it. We read the title, but we never actually talked about that.
So this is the sequel.
That's a very odd. That's a specifically similar one, but it's kind of a weirdly flip side.
You know what? I don't feel the need to comment on that.
You don't really need to. Your son's jacking off like every teenage boy in America has
Right.
for the last God knows how long.
Wait, you guys are jacking off?
What were you doing? Wait, don't answer that.
No, answer it.
Don't answer it.
Self-fellatio. Auto-fellatio.
Bora. Let's see. We had. Oh no, I'm 63 years old and so lonely. Does it matter to anyone?
No.
I'm 31 and fucking lonely. You ain't special. The fuck?
Oh my gosh. You can find what was that old dating app for elderly people? There's one out.
God, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they run ads every now and then.
Something.
Mature mating.
Mature mating.
Mature mating.
Nah, that just sounds like a porn search.
Yeah, just type right in the search bar. Okay, here we go. Here's a good one. I was fired by my employer today. They wouldn't let me collect any personal belongings from my desk except my wallet, my keys, and my own personal phone. Can they do that?
Yes. Depending on if there was other personal effects that you had at your workstation, I don't think they can keep that away from you. But if everything else was owned by them or provided by your company, I think they do have a right to do that.
Yeah, because it's like, I guess it depends on what
I guess
your
it's
work
like depends what that
is.
stuff was, right?
Yeah,
What do they mean by personal effects?
right. Because like, of course, your keys and your wallet and your
Right. Like
phone, they
can't
kind of
bug-
have to get that back.
Yeah.
But everything else,
Basically, I think it just comes down to who paid for what and what was in the office and who paid for it.
mm-hmm.
Like if they are keeping anything that you paid for and did not either try to get reimbursed or charged to the company, that's your shit and they can't keep that.
You could probably sue them for that,
You
actually.
can definitely sue. You could probably have a better pay than you ever would have got from a company alone. If we're being real. But yeah, no. I guess it just depends on what was it.
Mm-hmm. True. How do I tell my
Like, it's
9...
not like they can keep you from taking the pictures of your kids back from your, you know.
Yeah.
You sold your soul for this company. We own you and your children.
But we're also family.
I'm so glad my current job doesn't say stupid shit like that.
Yeah, I was going to read, I think, some of the bottom questions on the second image there. Let's see which one of them is. How do I tell my 9-year-old foster son that we will be adopting his younger half-sister, but not him?
That's some bull. That's some bull, bro.
He'll be removed to a group home. That's fucked up.
Damn.
Can you click on that one? Is that one lost to time? If you got to go find it, don't worry about it. We'll find it later.
Fucking gay.
Let me see.
The fuck do you mean?
Oh, I can.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see.
I want to hear this one like fully. Is that the end of the question?
No, yeah, that's the end of the question. These questions are short, but the answers are nice and long from some people.
I want to hear what the top answer is.
So this one says, "Oh God, don't you do it." I have worked in group homes with kids the same age and have seen the damage parents have done to kids. A group home is not a home. He'd be scared and alone. The emotional and psychological damage is too much for a child. They always decline. This is a human being. I pray you adopted both or none at all. How could you even think to do such a thing? If you're not in this to help children, please stay away from them.
Jesus.
Yeah, literally every response is like, "What the fuck is
What the
wrong with?"
fuck is wrong with you?
God, this makes me miss like.
Like you need a lot of explanation on what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
Cause like, I get it. Raising children is difficult. Like raising, like whether they're foster, adopted, whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I would love to know what the reasoning as to why they would be adopting the younger sister. Because it seems like they took them both in at the same time as foster, and they're deciding to just adopt the younger sister, and then the 9-year-old is gonna go back to the system. Like my parents did fostering for years back when I was a kid. And so like I understand like with these children, especially as a foster parent, you kind of take on problem children just to get them out of the system for a little bit. But like it is kind of understood they'll be going back. To hear that you're fostering, once again, I'm assuming you're fostering both, but you're only going to adopt one. I would like to know the circumstances leading up to that decision.
Right. Like I don't think they explained unless there's more from the OP somewhere in the comments. There's really no other explanation.
And that's where they're going wrong here, is not having any more explanation to this clearly fucked up sounding like thing. Because it's like,
yeah, someone says, I adopted 2 foster children. You should never separate siblings. If you adopt one, you should adopt both or allow another home to adopt them both.
Because without any more information, I can't say this kid's a problem child, because if he was, you probably would have mentioned it. So other than the fact that you just don't want a son, which is the only thing I could assume.
Right.
Like, what reasoning do you have? But yeah, no, like, don't split up. Like, don't split up fucking siblings, and that's really all they got going through the system.
Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, don't do it. I had so-and-so siblings, and I got split up, and, you know, things happened, and things sucked. Everybody's pretty much like, yeah, don't be a jerk.
How about you don't do that? But if there are, they seem pretty decided on doing that, so Lord knows how well that's going to help.
Yeah.
Do people on Quora have any capacity to respond? Because I really want to see a response from this person.
Yeah, they super can. They can go back in and comment, just like, so Quora is basically Reddit, or is like basically, actually is Reddit, like almost in its setup. It's straight up the same concept as Reddit.
Yeah.
For dumb people?
I mean, you say that like Reddit's for smart people.
True.
I think the way Quora is structured is more about like it's very question heavy.
It's Yahoo Answers.
Yeah, pretty
Nah,
much.
Yahoo Answers was more chaotic.
But then there's the one right under that one. Does a human being know they're dead once they die?
That's a fair philosophical question, actually.
I mean, if somebody knows, please step forward.
The other part is I don't know if anyone's going to be able to answer that question for you. I guess there's like some neuroscientists who can probably go like, we've studied the brain activity of people like dead or dying and like looking at, but it's like, if there's still brain activity, are they technically dead?
Interesting. So I was able to open some comments on this one, actually.
The one we're talking about?
Some of these embedded fucking ads are the worst.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Just because it's like, how do I tell my 9-year-old foster? They're talking about that. People are being like, tell them that you're adopting them both. How did Jay-Z become a billionaire?
Yeah. Just like
I spent a year in foster care.
I was gonna say that's one of my fucking most pissed off things of the stealth ads of like they're now being inserted in ways that just make it look like they're like, so on stuff like Quora, they're inserting ads that look like text posts and comments and shit until you read it and you realize it's a fucking ad. Like with
Same thing with Twitter or X.
Yeah. Fucking like TikTok and Facebook, like Reels and shit. As you scroll, the amount of like videos I scroll to that look like legitimate TikToks, only for me to then see that little sponsor tag. I'm like, it's a fucking advertisement. God damn it.
Yeah.
And just like scroll away because I'm like, I don't want to give. Like, I will go through a series of like 3 or 4 sponsored videos, like advertisement videos, because by the time I realize what they are, I've already sunk like 30 seconds into it. And the algorithm, I say it's the algorithm, it's probably very much by design, is feeding me more ads based on that. That's the most annoying shit.
Yeah.
But
Can't escape the system.
The bot response was very interesting.
Yeah. Or you just saying in general? Just like general bot responses on stuff?
No,
or?
like literally they have a bot that responds to the core questions called the assistant bot.
Wait, what did it say?
Yeah, that's right. It's never usually the top comment, but
It is for me. This is a complicated, it's a complex and sensitive situation. It's important to approach it with empathy and understanding when talking to your 9-year-old foster son about adoption. The adoption of his younger half-sister. It's crucial to validate his feelings and reassure him that he is loved and valued. You may want to emphasize that his decision is not a reflection of his worth.
That's a real difficult conversation.
That's
going to
go over.
You're giving away.
That's going to go over so well. Thank you, bots. Thank you.
Yep, this 9-year-old's going to understand the abandonment issue he's feeling right now is not real and it's only temporary.
It's just like the best misapplication of like advice for emotionally consoling.
I was gonna say, it's the best part is like this whole bot is the most clear. Like,
give him space and validate his feelings.
Everything has to have a fucking chat GPT integration at this point.
Well,
like,
if you're
AI
not,
is great, but like, well, sometimes,
yeah, human feelings.
That response did get me thinking though. Is there a situation in which you wouldn't be able to adopt the brother?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, right? I can imagine that there is more info that could have been expounded upon by these parents that would have made things a lot more clear. There is definite stuff of the children you get. Some of them can have more problems, even if they are siblings. Like, you can have extreme problems that you just can't take care of right now. There could be
financially, maybe they couldn't.
Financially, we can't really why they can't take care of a boy, but they can take care of his half sister. Who knows? Maybe they can only take care of one child, and they thought they could do best for the young girl. There are viable situations in which that is why they could do this. I still stand on splitting up siblings is just a bad deal all around.
Yeah.
But I also still stand on the lack of information leads me to believe that there is no real nuance, or like
we can't approach this situation as though there's nuance.
I can't approach it as if there's nuance, because if there was, you would have been stated it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you had a good reason and just chose not to say it as you were typing this out.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming this is typed by an actual person in this actual situation,
and not somebody who's like just trying to get
because I could also see that being a thing with Quora of people just typing shit of what can I cause the most engagement from.
Right. And that's typically what gets me double taking my phone screen anytime I'm like, huh? What about a pregnant what? I got my daughter's.
My 17-year-old pregnant. What do I do?
I mean, some of them sound like, okay, maybe that is a serious one, but then there's some that are just downright dumb.
Am I
like
Pergant?
Like, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I screenshot this one, but it was, oh my God. And I told you about it when I saw it too. It was a while ago, before we even started the podcast, about something about like,
no, I'm not gonna remember.
Oh, okay. So it was something about an older sister or something was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of like her younger brothers got mad at her or something and like kicked her stomach.
Yeah, you did tell me about this.
And then she ended up having like a miscarriage or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was a thing of like, I don't know who posted original. I think it was her. And she was like, should I don't know.
Was it press charges?
I don't know. It was something crazy, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, again, I don't doubt that this happened. It's just like, that's a crazy thing to take to Quora.
That's a wild thing to be bringing to Quora. Like, I feel like there should be a lot more yelling in the home going on right now.
Yeah.
That you can't focus on Quora, which is one of those other things of like, that's what also makes it kind of hard to believe that this is
I could believe that somebody in that kind of a situation doesn't feel like they have anywhere to go to, and it's like, fuck, I guess Quora.
Mm. It's just a wild thing to like look on your lock screen and then just like gaze at for a second, and then it registers and processes what you read, and you're like, huh?
Loading.
Huh?
In the middle of a real life conversation, dinner or something like that, you're just like
traumatized.
Yeah, and people are like, what are you reading? And
dude, I said it in that the other episode we did the Quora stuff on, of like, it's so upsetting because like I want to just ignore the goddamn Quora emails, but they just hit me with that one good one, and I'm like, I
need to know.
So stupid, but I gotta know what people are saying about it.
The tea.
Right?
It's so
I just
sweet.
automatically filter them out and don't have
trust
the
me,
app.
we're trying to. I don't have the app. I just get fucking.
Don't get the app.
Don't get the app.
Don't
I'm not
do
getting
it.
this. I'm not getting this goddamn app. But speaking of like responses, you started reading one and we just barreled over that shit.
Yeah, I was kind of
And
reading
then I barreled over you trying to bring attention back to
it. It happened like 3 times. 4 now.
All right. Read it.
But no, I was reading it as you guys were talking, and I was like, oh, this is a little wholesome actually. Not as crazy as I thought it would be.
Which one was it?
It was a response to, does a human being know that they're dead once they die? And someone says, yes, they do. And I was like, oh, okay, let me hear more. But then it was more like, so they continue with, when my sister died from an accident, we were all horrified. The way she died left me feeling guilty. But when I went to sleep finally through red eyes, she came to me and said, it didn't hurt, Damie. Damie, it didn't hurt. I also never seen her wear a pink dress like that, or do her hair like that, or be that tall. And then she said, and then they said, then we went through a bright light together, and we were but children again, playing at our favorite campsite as kids. There's a beyond, and it's beautiful. That's what they said. And I was like, oh, okay, that's wholesome. I was expecting some like crazy shit or something where it's like, oh yeah, they do. When they close their eyes, their brain activity continues longer. And my sister died once and then came back alive.
If I'm expecting
and told me.
If I'm expecting to answer this philosophical question, I don't want it to be about you having a dream. Like, don't mention your fucking dream,
guys. It's a shitty philosophical question. It's not. It's real dumb.
It literally cannot be answered. There's no answering this question.
No.
Right.
But hey, Quora got me though. I was like, wait a minute, did somebody actually answer this with legit?
I'm legit curious to hear from like a neuroscientist, even if it is a more philosophical answer, and like just kind of how people that study this kind of thing kind of think about it. So there's times where like I'll click on an answer like a question like that because I imagine like some kind of expert has weighed in on this, and I would very much like to hear what they have to say. But yeah.
I don't care.
At the end of the day, it's like something I'm not going to care too much about. Now, stuff like if you leave your driver's license at home and end up getting pulled over, are you allowed to ask the officer this question to get home? That is a fantastic question. Would there be any additional penalty? It depends on if that cop's on some shit that night.
I got a ticket today.
Bullshit.
Really?
I did. Yeah,
Speeding?
I was pulling out and turning left after I went shopping and I was going to the gym, and it was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I sped up a little bit. The light turned red. I was like, fuck. And I went through and I was like, okay, it'll be fine. The intersection is still clear.
How closely were you when it turned red?
If I wasn't anxious about it, I could have like stopped.
Oh, okay.
It was a clear enough situation where I fucked up.
Oh, okay.
Right. But in the moment, I like the way that I reacted to it. It was a mistake that I made, right? Like I wasn't trying to run a red light or like I'll just go through it. I was like, I don't know, fuck. But and so like all of a sudden I saw the lights flash up behind me. I was like,
damn,
fuck. Okay. You want to know what I got a ticket for? My insurance wasn't up.
Handsome.
Yeah, my insurance wasn't up to date.
Fucking told you.
Yeah, oh, finally, you got tagged with that.
He gave me a warning because my license plate isn't up to date, and he gave me a ticket because my proof of insurance isn't up to date. So
Jesus,
I gotta fix this.
We told you.
We did too.
You did tell me.
When I got my shit redone, because I realized I was super out of date. I was like, we basically found out the whole house at the time because you still hadn't even gotten your new car yet.
No.
Like we were like everybody in the house had like expired tags. I guess technically you had your tags were just about to expire.
Yeah, they were just about to, and my fiance was like, "Oh yeah, aren't your tags about to expire? You got to get them renewed." I was like, "Ah, yeah, I should probably do that soon." And then
basically everyone in the house was driving illegally in some capacity.
Yeah, that triggered everybody to be like, "Oh yeah, that is a thing, isn't it?"
Then I immediately forgot about it. See, I was being flippant about it at the time, but what I knew is that I knew I was going to immediately forget about it, and I immediately forgot about it.
Shit's expensive, man.
It is.
Is it like $200?
I'm paying like $180, and that's for fucking PLPD. That's for like the lowest level shit to just make sure you don't get in trouble when you get pulled over.
How much?
Like $180 something a month.
Oh yeah, I gotta
Yeah,
I think my insurance is still
that's right. Like full coverage, PLPD. PLPD is a type of insurance that's basically it's called no fault insurance.
Okay. I see.
Sorry, yeah, that's the other.
So car insurance.
It
Okay.
pays.
It's car insurance. Yeah.
It pays out if you're at fault, but it doesn't pay anything
What is
out if, like,
Your insurance isn't going to give you money to replace your car.
Yeah,
Right.
your insurance will give money to cover the other person if you are
But
at
not
fault
you.
for it. But if someone hits you,
I think it stands for personal protective liability, right?
yes,
Or personal protection liability, something along those lines. But basically, it covers
personal liability.
if somebody sues you or you're at fault in a crash, the like astronomical amount of money that they would come for your cheeks for, the insurance
will
the
help
insurance
cover
will help
at least a
cover.
portion of it for you, up to a
Yeah.
certain amount.
Because like the amount should literally be in the contract that you sign up for with the
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah,
company. So-
I know I'm paying a shit ton for car insurance, so I'm pretty sure I have that.
But the fucked up part is that's the minimum. Technically speaking, both the fact that me and you have I don't have a brand new car. You have a brand new car. I have a newest car that I'm still like financed and leasing on. Technically speaking, we're supposed to have full coverage, which will run you like $400 to $500 a fucking month. And I'm like, that's my car payment. So
I was gonna say maybe you should look around because I pay $600 a year, like
Ooh.
upfront. Pioneer,
yeah, but what car do you have?
2006 Toyota Sienna.
was
So
gonna
that's what I was
say,
gonna
that
say.
is-
2019 Chevy
Yeah.
Blazer, and
It's
These motherfuckers have pretty nice cars. They're
yeah,
not like bougie, but they're like decent cars.
yeah.
yeah, so that's what makes it difficult, and the fact that once again we're still paying on our cars.
Because like I pay pretty simple. I think right now I pay $100 a month, and that's probably because they're mad at me because I don't ever read my letters.
Probably.
They're probably like, hey, well, yeah, but and that's
We're gonna
with
sit down and make you just make a calendar.
so that I check
all the
my
shit you
mail.
do,
Yeah, yeah. I did that in high school, but it stopped working.
Did it stop working, or did you just stop doing it?
No, well, anything that is sort of like a continuous stimulus in my life
You have-
eventually loses effect. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Because like I'm really good actually at setting up systems for myself, but I'm terrible at sticking to them for any like consistent amount of time. Like, because either it's a problem that I'm still not quite sure how to solve. Because it's to the point where in some areas I've given up, which definitely isn't the solution, but I should be more proactive about it.
Have you tried not being ADHD?
Dude, oh, baby.
I'm just saying. Have you
that's
given
a
it
good
shot
solution,
yet?
You give it a shot. Oh my God, you're so right.
Have you
That's big
tried
brain.
not being neurodivergent?
My dad, every time he looks at my academics,
Or
Oh man, I was just closing out those windows because they were starting to.
Oh, yeah,
I was
no,
paying
you're
too much
good,
attention to them. But yeah,
well, it's kind of funny because some of the stuff my dad says behind closed doors, like he doesn't say that shit to my face, but like to my mom, he's like when I was in microbiology, right, and I my goal was to get a 60 in the class, and I hit that shit pretty good, but in order to like pull through on the class, I had to get like between 90 and 100% on the final.
Okay, this was a goal that was set closer to the end of the.
No, I said that from the beginning. I was like, I'm gonna get a 60 in this class.
enough to pass.
Really get a pass.
Like I just had to pass. It's like it's not gonna affect my GPA. I just need to hit that C, and I'm working a full time job. So like I'm not gonna put in the amount of effort that it would take for me to get an A in this class is pretty significant.
That's what I did with most of my CC classes.
Right.
I was like, you know what? At this point, I realize this doesn't even affect my GPA. As far as Ferris is concerned, this is a pass-fail grade being transferred in. I'm not about to put all the extra fucking hours into doing this shit. Sorry, CC professors, but
And so yeah, I kind of phoned it in the class. Right, I found the material very fascinating.
It is, yeah.
But
I just
the
don't want to do the homework.
yeah, and the but for the final, I had to get a minimum of a 90. Right, in order because I think we were like I had missed some stuff because of work and yada yada yada, and like I think my labs were probably going to make up for most of it, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to hit that. Excuse me. And so I was like, I did the math, And my dad and I hit that 90. I hit it pretty well. And my dad looked at that and he's like, you get a 90 in the final. It covers all the material. You could have been doing that the whole semester. No. And he's like, I think he said something to my mom like, if only Dominic applied himself, you know, like he could do so much, like academics and stuff like that. And I'm like,
sir, this is the applying yourself because the best part is that he understands. I think that's the part that I don't know if you ever explained that to your parents or not, like how that worked. I explained it to my parents and I was like, the reason I don't try super stupid hard and I'm not doing like all my homework for CC classes is because the school I'm graduating from doesn't even factor into my GPA. Like it's just straight up, it's a pass fail grade. Did I pass class? Did I not? That's all Ferris cares about. Is when I explained that to them, they understood why I was like, I'm not gonna put any more time than I absolutely need to into the CC classes because that just doesn't make it doesn't make sense when every second I can get needs to be like utilized to the fucking maximum. And so it's like if I can shave out time in an area, I'm going to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I was trying to get at though is that there's a lot of different dimensions to how ADD or ADD affects like my life and my brain and like things that are easy and hard for me, right? But one of the biggest ones means that applying myself is extremely difficult to do, even if I know that I should do it, or there are things that if it doesn't actively interest me, if it hasn't grabbed my attention, it's so hard. It's extremely hard to do. And so I'm like, yeah, if that wasn't just the central challenge of my life, you know, I could be doing great.
You know, if Dominic wasn't Dominic, he'd be pretty great right now.
And it's like, you could force that, but you're going to burn out really quick.
Yeah.
And then you can't do anything.
Yeah.
But also it's like, you could force that for microbiology, but what the fuck is that going to do for you at the end of it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I have fun facts about bacteria, and I
great.
find the Dr. Manhwa is a lot more believable now. But
what were we doing?
we were talking about Quora.
We were. That's right.
Pretty much got to the end of that, honestly. The last interesting question that was.
Fair. How long have we been going?
1 hour, 3 minutes.
Really? Damn. Do y'all want to take a break right quick, or do y'all want to?
It feels like break time.
Each feel like break time. So we're gonna take a break. Be right back.
Let's see if I'm gonna cramp up when I stand this time.
Yeah. So I don't even remember this creator's name.
Casey
Neistat.
Yeah, there we go.
He's pretty big.
Yeah, no, he is. This is the first video I've seen of him. This was shared in my work's Slack, one of our channels, because we're, kind of trying to follow, the release of this Apple Vision Pro headset. And it's kind of wild in many ways, but also pretty anticlimactic in other ways.
Yeah.
It's obvious that, there's been some major improvements as far as, augmented reality, spatial awareness and stuff is. It's pretty much, the king of that right now. When you put up or pull up a window or anything like that, like it apparently sticks, like there's really no headset out there right now that's got this good tracking.
Yeah.
And spatial awareness. I know my job has one of these, and I haven't gone into the office to try it out, but I will sometime this week.
Do you have a developer build or a just one of these consumer grade?
I'm not sure.
Because if it's a dev build, you might not be able to. That was a big thing that was going on. So one of my coworkers, he's going to be doing Apple Vision. Sorry, 1 second here. So there's a good chance I probably won't be putting in that last audio bit because I don't even know how much it actually caught before it cut off again.
Well, yeah, and all we did was complain about how the audio wasn't working.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we did. Audio's being really fucking weird. We're trying to talk about the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Apple ninjas are after us and are preventing us from talking about the Apple Vision Pro.
Gotta be, because this has never happened yet.
It do seem like every time this starts out, every time we have a criticism about the Apple Vision Pro.
Interesting.
The Apple Vision Pro is the best thing since sliced bread.
Honestly, it's the world's greatest invention. I don't think we'll ever find anything better ever.
But the build quality of this first iteration is not that great.
Better than
it really is not that great.
I think it's mostly for the weight.
Yeah,
keep
so
the weight
because
down.
most VR headsets have either a battery pack on the back of them or just more on the back of them to help outweigh that front end weight. But because the Apple Vision Pro doesn't have that, and it has a battery pack that you have to plug into the headset for it to work, there is none of that back weight. So it's more front heavy, and apparently that's one of its biggest criticisms.
So even because people were complaining about, I think the front is plastic. So if they put glass on that, it would be even heavier.
Yeah, it would have been crazy heavy.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, that would have been as much as it's interesting because that's not sort of like the quality or like the sturdiness that you would associate with their products, but at the same time, I don't know. It feels
it's like you would like it to be quality materials, but it also has to live on somebody's face.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be probably one of their biggest issues, or at least their biggest things to solve for Apple. Because Apple's known for that, higher quality-esque build of their stuff, or at least if it's not higher quality, it feels like it is, right? It feels like it's a little bit nicer. As to where this first version of this Apple Vision Pro probably, it doesn't have that. So I think at the end of that video that we were watching, he says something along the lines of, this is the worst version of the Apple Vision Pro that they're going to release, which means that if it's already what it is now, which is still pretty crazy,
it can only get better.
It can only get better.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, you could just pull tech out of it.
Really could,
No. I would really want to play with one. Really want to.
As would I. I fully agree with that.
I'm not excited to develop for one because
it's been a pain in the ass of one of my coworkers.
Yeah, developing for Apple is.
There are a lot of loops.
Royal pain in the ass.
A lot of hoops.
I agree that I am interested in playing around in one. I don't as long as this is still the form factor for this kind of AR, I don't see myself ever wanting to get one personally. Nor do I see it as an actual, this is how the future is going to be from now on type shit. Until that form factor is down to no more than a little bit more than my glasses, that's not going to be a mass appeal thing.
I'd use something like that.
I think this is just a stepping stone towards that. And I think something Casey also said was that with this, he can sort of get a feeling or get a glimpse at what that looks like in the future, what that feels like to have a pair of glasses that overlays things in your vision.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Google did it first.
Yeah.
I feel like at some point we're going to go back to Google Glass, basically.
Google Glass was not. It was like a little triangle.
I was gonna say it's more of a Google Glass is more of a desktop projection onto some lenses in front of you than an AR. I guess it was still AR.
I have no clue what Google Glass functionality actually was. I was still in high school and that was coming out.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever actually saw or experienced it, so I don't know exactly what it was.
I remember someone brought one in. I think it was Smitty actually.
Yeah, he was
brought in a
super
pair
because it was a scouter.
I knew one dude who had a pair of Google Glass, and it was at the height of Pokemon Go, and he would always. And every time there was raids and stuff going on downtown, you always knew this guy because he would always be the guy walking around with the Google Glass. And I was like, I don't know if he ever used it to its full potential or what, but I know he had it. That was pretty much it. Yeah. Like that kind of form factor, this level of functionality and that kind of form factor is what I would look into when I'm ready to adopt this technology.
I would use something like that. I could see, actually, for me in particular, I could see it being incredibly useful. So, I mean, I was just talking about a lot of the difficulties that ADHD has for me, and like things like watches, phones can function really as a cognitive prosthetic, right? And so anything that can function like that, I am extremely interested in. So yeah.
No, I'm just excited to see any and all of this kind of stuff kind of start being made. Some of it's controversial, but most of the time when technology is in some kind of bad light, a lot of it really comes down to who's using said technology. But stuff like this makes me excited because, like you were saying, there's a lot of advancement in accessibility that can be made. A lot of advancement with, you know, just how we interact with the world. What cool new experiences can we make with this new technology now that it's, you know, pretty much here? What are some things that we can do to enhance the you know, human experience, or, you know, if anything, just make some cool stuff with. So yeah, I know my company is gonna be trying to do whatever we can to develop some stuff for this. But yeah, I'll be diving into it myself here soon to figure out its capabilities and see how I like it. So I'll probably have some updates here some point soon. Then you know how I like it, if anything.
Nice.
But yeah.
Apple Vision Pro.
Pro Apple Vision.
Is it?
And then the one point that another thing that we were talking about, kind of post our talk last time when we had talked a little bit about Sonic 3, but we had talked about this off podcast. Like I was going to say,
so
ago.
Right after we finished up recording, there was the news that came out about Isla. Is that her name?
I don't even remember, but I looked through
Alila Brown got cast as a currently unannounced character in the Sonic 3 movie.
Yep.
I've probably put up a photo of who Alila Brown is, but for audio listeners, she's a young, possibly 12, 13, 14-year-old, blonde hair, blue-eyed white girl. And she was cast as a new character and as an unannounced character in the Sonic 3 movie, the one that features Shadow the Hedgehog. If you know Sonic Adventure 2 Battle or Sonic Adventure 2, you know who she is. If you don't know, let me be the one to tell you exactly why the internet is planning for a child to get shot in the Sonic 3 movie. Because there's no way this girl is not going to be Maria.
Yeah, it's too it's too similar.
It's too similar.
I know Sonic. I don't know who announced it or how the announcement came to be of that she was playing this character.
Yeah.
But the moment you show a picture of her,
it becomes abundantly clear who she is.
It's 1,000% obvious,
right?
And there's no way that you're gonna not rile up some Sonic fans by at least saying that, right?
Like, because and when he says rile up, he's not saying like people are angry about this. No one's, at least as far as I know, nobody's angry. But I'm sure someone is, but it's not about being angry about this choice. It's the implication of the choice.
Like the casting is as spot on as they can be with it. It's just a sad thing you don't want to actually think about.
It's like a Full Metal Alchemist movie, and like the Full Metal Alchemist gets adapted into a live action movie, or a live action like reimagining of Full Metal Alchemist.
No.
And then you hear about them casting some 7-year-old little dark-haired girl and a giant fucking like
you get some backstage
Great Pyrenees. Yeah, that's the one. and is like,
I wonder what characters they're gonna play.
Wait a minute.
Interesting.
Yeah, no.
Personally, I'm very excited to see the girl get shot. So
I think we're all excited because I'm like, I just want to. Oh, did I turn it off? Oh, that's okay.
Oh, I think it's the light.
No,
You
the
turned
light.
off. Oh, okay.
Luckily, the way
We can't continue if the light's not on, guys. The light has to be on.
It ruins the
has
continuity.
to.
But like, yeah, no, it's just this fucking post. I love the Sonic fans. I love that Sonic fans have unanimously agreed that the third Sonic movie needs to include a scene where a child gets shot. It has to. It kind of has to. You can't have Maria and not have her get shot.
You can't have Shadow and not have Maria. But when you have Maria, you can't have Maria and not have her die.
Just she has to die.
She has to die.
That's unfortunately her lot in life.
And so when we look at that casting, when we look at that actress, we're like, she's gonna get shot.
That girl's getting fucking murdered by a soldier, bro.
what was your big breakout role?
I showed up in the movie for 3 minutes and got shot.
What do they think you brought to the table?
Terminal illness.
So see, the thing about that though is she's gonna get that 3 minutes, but they're gonna continuously call back to that 3
They're gonna keep
minutes
showing.
throughout the movie.
It's
and
gonna be
future movies.
30 minutes.
The best part being, if they do this, like, if they do it for real, she's never gonna have an active part in the movie. She's only ever gonna show up in flashbacks.
True. Unless
they pull some stupid fuck shit. Because when this first came up, the first person I had to come talk to was you. I was like, yo, I need you to look up Lila Brown.
Yes,
Like,
and
right now.
He didn't really even give me much of context. He just said, look her up. And I looked her up, and then I was like, okay. And then he said,
Little blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then Blitz said,
she just got cast as an unannounced character in the Sonic 3 movie.
and instantly I was like,
He was like, huh? Oh. It was very clear who played Sonic 2, because I think you were sitting there.
I was sitting there. I was like,
that means nothing to me.
Why?
It's clear who played Sonic 2.
it was
and
quite
who did
literally
it.
that meme. Those who know and
Those
those
who
who
don't
don't know.
Like, oh my God, it's like, I can't believe they're about to set this little girl up to get shot.
So if they change it
So,
and she doesn't get shot, what do you think they would do?
So the first thing I said when I was like, I don't know if they're really going to play it straight or not. If they don't, that girl's getting adopted by Chris and the wife. Like, she's going to get adopted somehow.
But how does that motivate Shadow to?
I want her to be
That's the best
adopted by
question.
an Eggman. I want her to shoot people instead of getting shot. I want her to be absolutely feral and ungovernable.
and she becomes
I can't enjoy that.
she becomes like the darkness and like molds Shadow into.
There's a possibility.
honestly, that is the weird thing
They could
about
make
the
her a
Sonic
child
movies
soldier.
is that it's so offshoot
I
kind
was
of.
going to say, it's so removed from the Sonic games that it can tell its own story if it wants to. Because it really
Yeah.
just, like the Sonic movies have only really, the only real parallel Sonic movies have had to the game so far is the IP branding, is that it's a Sonic movie. And it's doing more callbacks to the Sonic franchise than it is like telling any specific story. Which very much so like how the Archie comics tell their own story, the IDW comics tell their own story. Sonic X told its own story that was like pulling bigger chunks of stuff from the Sonic games. The Sonic games as like a gaming franchise tells its own story. The Sonic movie is another part of the pie that's telling its own thing. So it's very possible they do bring in Shadow and Maria and redo the whole, like their whole relationship, so that the only callback really is that Shadow and Maria have some kind of relationship going back, or like at least like the backstory of like why Shadow's created. It's gonna be kind of weird because Shadow was created strictly because So for anyone who doesn't know, let's go on and explain this right quick.
Spoilers? Question mark.
I mean, this is for a game that's been out since the year 2002.
Yeah. If you don't know this by now, it's all right.
This is spoilers
not-
for Sonic Adventure 2.
That game's 21 years old.
/battles.
That game could drink.
It might even be older than that if we're being real. So the reason like Maria is like this big conscious character and what you'll probably be seeing on your timelines for a while now is she was a character that was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2. She like her thing was that she was terminally ill. She is actually the cousin to Dr. Robotnik, Ivo Robotnik, the main villain of the Sonic games. They share a grandfather named Gerald Robotnik. Gerald Robotnik is researching how to cure Maria of her disease, and is why she's like up in space and all types of shit. And somewhere in the fucking mix of him developing this cure, it also, because he's a mad scientist, he has to develop a life form at the same time for some reason.
The ultimate one.
The ultimate life form. And so literally Shadow's creation was hinged on the fact that Maria has terminal illness. Eventually the world government finds out, technically the American government, also called GUN, very on the nose. They find out about the experiments going on up in space. They raid the space colony. No, it was still on Earth. No, it was up in space. How did they raid that?
Yeah.
I've never asked this question in the 20 years I've been playing that game.
I honestly didn't give it thought either.
Yeah, fair enough. Space Force came in handy, man. But they get raided while in space on the space colony named Ark. And in that process, Maria takes Shadow, puts him in an escape pod, sends him away. And as he's about to get jetted away, you just see some soldiers walk the fuck in, guns pointed up. And it's very much implied she gets murked on the spot.
Murked her ass.
Like, just murked immediately.
Leave Shadow crying.
And that's why Shadow is super edgy. Like, that's why he's the edgiest character to date in the Sonic series.
And that's why he shoots people, too.
And that's why he got a gun. Oh, yeah, you don't know about Shadow the Hedgehog, then.
I don't know shit about Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog was the next game in the Sonic series. There was a game about Shadow the Hedgehog in which you get to shoot guns. And you just get to kill people.
I thought that was a parody. I thought that was a joke.
No,
like completely realistic, like shotguns and
but then like also
rifles.
weird shit like egg.
Oh, really? There's like fantasy weapons.
Yeah,
they have ovipositors.
Like, pretty much, yeah. Actually, like literally, you get a thing that like shoots like literal eggs. It's a callback to I want to say not Alex Kidd.
Billy Hatcher.
Billy Hatcher, thank you. It's a callback to like Billy Hatcher because they love putting Billy Hatcher shit in Sonic stuff.
Yeah,
which is actually a really cool callback. But like, yeah, so he gets like some things he gets that are wacky, but there's like just straight up an Uzi. Like the fucking opening, like one of the opening cutscenes is like Shadow like walking up, standing at the top of a building, and then just cocking an Uzi.
Yes. And nowadays, you would think that that's a meme. That like some fan
it looks
created
like
that.
It should be a fan creation.
No, that was official. That's some official.
Oh, we're gonna pull up some shit for you to watch.
Shit.
It wasn't a good game.
No,
it's
it was
a
terrible.
very bad game. It's weird because all it had to do was just be Sonic 2, but only Shadow, and it somehow managed to fuck it up.
Right. With Sonic 2 graphics, of course.
With Sonic 2
of course,
graphics,
that first cutscene was rendered like
it looked immaculate. The first cutscene looked great for a what was a GameCube game. It looked really good as a cutscene, but like the engine that they did was like slightly different, and it could have just been the Sonic 2 engine, and they chose not to. It was weird. The point being. This blonde girl is going to get shot in the movie, possibly.
Yeah. Unless they change it up because they're trying to be PG now.
Could be. It is. The crazy part is that this movie's not coming out till they said what, December this year? I want to say.
I forgot.
I want to say they said it was like it was coming out winter of 2024.
Something like that.
There's gonna be a whole year of people just like waiting with bated breath, watching to see if this girl's gonna get fucking murked on camera, and that's gonna be the biggest anticipation going into this movie. Are they gonna do it?
I feel like it's gonna be a problem though, because people are gonna anticipate
it's gonna be
it
such a
so
problem.
much, and then when they don't do that,
It's gonna be.
they're gonna be conflicted because people are like, "Why didn't she die?" But it's like, well, I don't want children to die.
I do.
But it's Maria. She dies. But I don't. Do I want? Should she die? What is Shadow's entire thing for being here if she doesn't
If it's not
die?
Maria, so
why
like,
is he
we have to
edgy?
figure out a whole thing for Shadow.
Maybe he's just goth. Okay.
Maybe
he's just
it
like
really
that.
could be.
Maybe.
So it's gonna be. honestly, I gotta say, Paramount, this was the most genius thing you could have done. Like, this is genius marketing. Because now I have to go see this movie. I have to see this movie just to see what happens.
Yes.
I was gonna see it anyway because I enjoyed the first 2 Sonic movies. But like, I have to know what happens and what they do with Maria.
Turns out she's just a freaking extra.
Yeah.
Turns out she's just an extra.
She's a background.
Dude. She just like shows up in like a one-off cutscene where you like see her in the store.
She's
like,
sipping
she's with
a
a
coffee in a cafe behind shadows. She never says
Never says a fucking word.
No, I think the even funnier than that too could be literally it's just similar, but like she's just sitting on a bench and then Shadow sits on a bench and they have one conversation and then Shadow gets up and then she leaves and that's it. That's like all
right.
That's all we see.
That could
Maria.
And her name's Maria. Like
right. And
that's the only reference they make.
It has to be. It has to be. like
that's her ghost.
It's still Ghost of Maria.
That's her ghost for fucking sure, dude.
Like, it's just a thing of like, oh, we made this reference. Here's for you guys. Okay, back to the story. Back to your regular program. Like,
I'm so curious because because there's no way you put this announcement out and don't expect this level of like buzz around it.
Yeah. It's hard to even figure out exactly what to say. It's not hype. It's not
hype. It's not rage.
It's engagement.
It's engagement.
Anticipation. But even then, that's still weird because it's like I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. We want to see this character, but she dies.
Knowing for a fact that she's going to die. She kind of has to die.
If they rebooted Old Yeller.
If they rebooted the Bible.
Oh my God. I can't wait to hear more. I hope they do officially announce her to be Maria. I hope we get another. I can't wait for us to get another trailer because I want to see I think that'll answer some questions. Mm-hmm. Or there's a small part of me that kind of hopes that they let this announcement ride and they don't say nothing about her from now until this movie comes out.
Not even in a trailer. Don't drop
no trailer. They don't mention who this. They don't show this. They don't show this girl in any scenes. They don't show her in like any context. We now know that she's in the movie and they leave it at that. Just let this shit ride for the rest of the year.
First shot of the movie, cold action scene. Girl running away from soldiers.
Yeah, plot twist. That's all this movie is.
All this movie is the whole raid on Ark.
Plot twist.
Holy shit, bro. Oh, we'll have to see because oh man, with the whole Jim Carrey was supposed to retire and then chose to come back out.
Which I honestly, even when he said back when he announced that he was going to retire, I was like, there's no way that they're going to make another Sonic movie and you're not going to want to be a part of it.
Right.
I feel like he loved that character so much. He put so much of himself into it and his own flair on the character, and everybody liked it. And I feel that he wouldn't give that up, even for retirement. Because I think he even said too, this is one of my favorite roles and I'm honored that this is my last role.
Yeah.
He did say something pretty much right along those lines.
I will say the articles we were reading, just by the wording that they were putting in it, it sounds like he didn't announce his retirement. It sounded like he kept floating.
He announced his intention to retire.
Yes.
After
he announced
this.
He was like, when this project is done, I do plan on retiring from acting.
He announced his announcement to retire.
Pretty much, yeah. So we'll see. We shall see. I can imagine. He's not a young man no more. He's up there. He's getting up there. He's not old either, but I can imagine wanting to be kind of done with the whole, because it does. Everything I hear about what it's like to be on working as an actor on a set does sound pretty grueling at times. Mm-hmm. But when you also make millions of dollars from it, I don't feel too bad for you. But yeah,
punish them.
So yeah, a lot of the video game world is going to be anticipating a girl dying and getting shot in a movie for the rest of the year. Yep. So we'll see what happens with that. I can't wait for the next trailer. Okay. Yeah, it is really late. I don't know how long you've been going, but we're going to finish this out. With a couple manhwa.
My
Manga,
picks
manhwa
too, because I thought we
section.
would have less to talk about
That's
today.
fair.
But-
This one says type other. No one knows what that means. It looks very.
It's my type.
Yeah, it looks like Korean, so I'm assuming it's a manhwa.
I think it is Korean, but it has a very Western art style. I haven't done much research into the background of this one, so I'm not really sure who's publishing it.
That's fair.
I think you can read it on Webtoon and Tappytoon.
So on Tapas.
Tapas. But we're talking about the beginning after the end. This
That's
one's pretty well known. If you've been around reading for a little while, you probably recognize it. Did you want to do the thing where you read the?
I will do the thing. So, King Gray has unrivaled strength, wealth, and prestige in a world governed by martial ability. However, solitude lingers closely behind those with great power. Beneath the glamorous exterior of a powerful king lurks the shell of a man, devoid of purpose and will. Reincarnated into a world filled with magic and monsters, the king has a second chance to relive his life. Correcting the mistakes of his past will not be his only challenge, however. Underneath the peace and prosperity of the new world is an undercurrent threatening to destroy everything he has worked for, questioning his role and reason for being born again.
That's it. This one is pretty entertaining. It's not like crazy good, but it's solid. It has a bit of a Gary Stu protagonist, right? You know, he's
He's fucking shitty as Gran.
yeah. Oh yeah. He's a little asshole.
Yeah.
You know, he's a warrior king reincarnated, a space future warrior king reincarnated into a magic world.
Of course.
Right. So he obviously comes at things with a level of badassery that's not present for most people or people his age or people in general. But it's less of like a situation where everything translates directly. He still has to work for shit. And his primary motivation is caring for the people around him. Right.
Okay.
Which I really like. And it's been a while since I've read this one. I won't lie, I think it's been a couple years actually.
Oh, really?
But I remember really enjoying it. The plot I thought was interesting. The characters were interesting.
Still releasing.
It's still
Chapters
releasing.
too.
It's just a little bit harder to get access to because Tapas has got it now. So, unless you're going to pay, because Tapas is kind of expensive to use.
That's fair.
But overall, if that's something that sounds like it would interest you, I would recommend checking it out. If something super problematic has happened since I was last reading it,
That's for you to find out.
That's
That's the risk you take.
Fair
Sweet.
enough.
We got one more here, and we'll wrap it up with this. Chronicles of a Returner. After being sealed away for 1,000 years, the war god Duan Yuxian, really hoping I did good on that one,
I get it pretty damn good.
has come back to a world that has forgotten him and his malevolent past. As he wanders aimlessly through the central plains ruled by the martial world, he comes across a dying little girl named Xiao Mei and revives her out of pity. Although they try to live in peace as a family, the factions of the martial world refuse to let them be. Now Duan has no other choice but to remind them that the war god has truly returned. That's a fucking sick line. I actually really like that line.
Yeah, this one is another one that it's really interesting actually, the way that this one is structured. Because our protagonist is Duan, right?
Yeah.
But he's almost like he's a very passive force in this world or in this narrative. Because he was so powerful that it took, basically like the collective strength of the martial world, and they couldn't even kill him. They had to seal him, and he eventually escaped because he's basically immortal, right? You attained a level of power where he's basically immortal. He's pretty freaking untouchable. But people keep coming into his life, right? Like this little girl, where he basically starts to form sort of like a family unit or family structure, right? And a lot of very interesting like conflicts, similar to like a One Punch Man narrative, right? Where like people who don't know what the fuck they're dealing with walk up and are like, "I'm gonna take your house because it's really nice."
Good luck, buddy.
It's like, yeah,
Right.
you're fucking welcome to try. Or people who are seeking shelter from the conflicts of sort of like the martial world end up, at his residence. It's very, and so like the character journeys that you're seeing aren't his character journey primarily, right? It's primarily the journeys of these people who either seek shelter under him or tutelage from him, right? But those journeys and those characters are very interesting. It's something I actually thought I was not going to enjoy when I first picked it up, because I was like, this looks like it's going to be kind of like, but it's something I've been reading pretty consistently. It looks like Tapas or something similar has picked it up, but you can probably still get it on Azure scans.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is another one that I think, it's probably a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Right? It's pretty good.
Fair. Now, you've explained what martial is before, but give me a quick rundown of what the martial world is, because I've now seen this like kind of explained this way.
So this is something I would classify as more of like a Miram genre, right? And so it's a setting where you basically have magic martial arts, right? That's the simplest way to put it.
That's right.
There is the cultivation is like, this is like the high magic setting version of this, right? Where the world is kind of permeated by this like spiritual energy that you can absorb into yourself, right? And then use to strengthen yourself and to perform martial arts, right? There are maybe like objects or plants that have concentrations of this, like elixirs, but basically the way that power functions in this world is through the violence enacted by martial arts, right? And when there's also like a concept in the martial world is there's people who practice martial arts and people who do not practice martial arts, and they generally, it's expected that you keep those separate, right? Because people who do not practice martial arts have no access to that level of power, right? Even the most basic martial artist is going to be significantly more powerful than but and so like it's a kind of a taboo to break that, you typically it's one of those things where like as you jump in, as you read one, you read another, you start to recognize these different things that are fairly consistent throughout. But yeah, that's a pretty simple overview of what they mean there.
World in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Nice.
They usually there's a specific word for it. They call it Miram or the fuck. I've only ever read it. I've never tried to vocalize it. Jiang Hua.
That's fair. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, let's see if I can.
She just comes back and just fucks shit up.
What did you say?
Talking about the war god.
I just said Jesus.
No, but I mean,
comes back and just fucks shit up.
Supposedly, that's what's supposed to happen.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
That's what people say. That's what my pastor been saying for fucking 10 plus years. My old pastor, anyway. Oh man.
but no, this looks like it would be an interesting story. Actually, I'm loving the art though.
I am loving the
I
art.
keep looking at the thumbnail of the art, and I'm like, that looks dope. Do it again.
Jungle.
Jiang Basically, though, it's used to refer to like the world of martial artists. Generally refers to the. I'm not gonna.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. A lot of Korean words being thrown around today, and none
Specifically
of us have
Chinese, but yeah.
Oh, is it Chinese? This one Chinese?
I think this is a Korean. This is a Korean story, but especially if you look at the script here, I'm pretty sure that's Korean. But a lot of those martial arts themes and like cultivation and Muram and those ideas originate from China.
Fair enough.
Okay. How much of it have you read so far?
I think I'm about 5 chapters behind.
Okay.
Yes, not super deep in.
Is that art like kind of consistent of what, without the colors or whatever? But like,
Yeah. The art, I think this one is pretty high quality. It's a little bit flatter than what's there. But it is.
Okay.
I was gonna say what I've noticed
is
about a lot of the
color.
manhwa is that it is in color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Manhwa is
I didn't know
typically in
that.
color.
Yeah.
But they step their action scenes up. They telegraph stuff pretty well.
Nice.
Wow.
Fair enough.
I was gonna ask.
I actually really like the way they portray action in the series. It's not quite as good as like Gosu or insert other example here, but it's still pretty good. What are you gonna say?
I think it was last time you talked about the Apothecary Diaries.
Yes.
Did you say you had watched the anime at all?
I've not watched it yet. No.
Because I started that
did?
after that.
What'd
It's
you-
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
I
get
guess
into that.
we'll add another one to the
It's
weekly watch.
like I don't know if you've ever seen Mushishi. It's kind of similar to that.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
It's like ancient slice of life. I don't know. Just like day to day of.
Fair.
It's not action or anything like that. It's usually, I guess, maybe more mystery.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fairly consistent with the manga. It's very much like this girl's just living her day-to-day life, but there's like things that happen and she like shenanigans she gets caught up in. She has to solve her way out of
Fair enough.
with her wicked smart.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'll have to for sure watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm always down to watch another new anime.
Watch it, Ella.
I'll watch another. All right.
And another one.
Well, before Waveform decides to fucking nuke my shit again, let's go on and wrap this up for the night. This felt really unstructured, but I feel like as I'm going to edit this, it's probably going to be no different than our normal episodes.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the only difference is the cold open.
Like, it's crazy
That's
because
the
it
only
felt
thing.
like we came into this less prepared than normal. And I feel like we're still coming out with a normal episode somehow, which is
honestly good for
nuts,
us.
but good for us, right?
Because
Like,
we're not having to super plan any of
Yeah.
the stuff that we bring. It's just like, oh, we found this
Maybe we
interesting
should,
thing.
but-
Let's just talk about it.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
I put in a lot of planning every episode.
I put in as much planning for this podcast as I put in for my fucking D&D sessions.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
No, we love your D&D sessions.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Just like you guys love this podcast. Thanks for listening and watching.
yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun engagement shit. Once again, we do put these episodes up on Spotify. So if you ever want to listen to it long form in like just audio format, or I mean, it's up in video, obviously, but
It's on YouTube too.
it's on YouTube, obviously. Actually, yeah, I guess if you're listening on Spotify, we do upload these to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, we upload these to Spotify. We're looking at, or at least, yeah, we're looking at other platforms. If there's a platform you would like for us to upload to, let us know. As of right now, we have the 2, and we're kind of just growing as we need to. Follow the socials, Kingz After Dark, pretty much everywhere, or KAD podcast in some places, I think, but even then, I don't think so. Yeah, that is episode 11.
Thanks for tuning in. 11 episodes. If you've been with us this whole time throughout, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you so very much.
appreciate you.
We love you guys.
You're absolutely fucking incredible.
Honestly, you are. So with that, we're gonna head to bed because it's late and we're all tired. So
It's after dark.
I'm EP.
bye-bye.
Stay gay. piss.
Bam. File corrupted.